Hello, English learners. Welcome back to English Practice with Julia. Today we are stepping into a C1 Advanced Vocabulary Masterclass that feels practical, natural, and usable in daily life. If you can already communicate in English, you may still feel stuck using the same safe words again and again. In this masterclass, we'll upgrade those safe words into precise, confident choices, and you'll practice them out loud so they start to feel like your own voice. Before we begin, take a slow breath. Relax your shoulders. At C1 level, you are not collecting big words for decoration. You are learning vocabulary that carries nuance, tone, and intention. The goal is to sound clear, controlled, and emotionally accurate. Sometimes that means choosing a stronger word. Sometimes it means choosing a softer word. Either way, you are choosing on purpose. One key C1 shift is that you stop speaking only with single words and you start speaking with natural word partnerships. Instead of saying a big problem, you might say a pressing issue, a persistent challenge, or a manageable setback. Instead of saying I fixed it, you might say I resolved it, I addressed it, or I worked through it. These combinations are what make you sound fluent because native speakers rely on them every day. Let's start with a powerful C1 verb for modern life, to navigate. It means to move through something complex, step by step. You can navigate traffic, but you can also navigate a busy week, a difficult conversation, or a new workplace culture. Listen and repeat. I'm navigating a busy week. We're navigating a few challenges right now. I'm still navigating the new system. This verb sounds calm and intelligent because it shows complexity without drama. Now upgrade the basic phrase, deal with. At C1, you can choose handle, manage, cope with, tackle, address, or navigate, depending on the feeling. Handle is practical. Manage is organized. Cope with is emotional and stressful. Tackle is active and brave. Address is professional and solution-focused. Navigate is complex and ongoing. Repeat slowly. I can handle it. I can manage it. I'm coping with it. I'm tackling it. I'm addressing it. I'm navigating it. Practice time. Say the simple sentence first, then say an advanced version. Simple. I have a lot of work this week. Advanced. My workload is heavy this week. Another option. I'm juggling multiple deadlines this week. Another. I'm stretched a bit thin this week. Now make one sentence about your own life. Keep it slow. Keep it realistic. Imagine you are speaking to a colleague, a friend, or a family member. Now we'll build C1 confidence in opinions. Instead of repeating, I think, you can use phrases that sound thoughtful and balanced. Try. I tend to believe. I'm inclined to think. From my perspective, in my view, as far as I can tell, and the way I see it, these phrases also help you sound polite because they leave room for other viewpoints. That is a very C1 skill. Strong ideas, delivered gently. Repeat after me. From my perspective, this is the most practical option. I'm inclined to think we should wait a little longer. As far as I can tell, the issue is minor. The way I see it, we need a clearer plan. Now choose one real topic, maybe your routine, your goals, or your health, and speak for 10 seconds using one of these frames. Slow English. Clean pronunciation. Let's talk about precision, because C1 vocabulary is often about the exact shade of meaning. Instead of very big, you might say substantial, significant, sizable, or enormous. But significant does not only mean big, it also means important. Instead of very small, you might say minor, modest, or negligible. Negligible means so small, it almost does not matter. Listen and repeat. A significant impact, a negligible difference. Imagine a daily life question. Was the delay a big problem? If it truly disrupted your plans, you can say, yes, it had a significant impact on my schedule. If it barely mattered, you can say, honestly, it was negligible. Repeat both answers slowly. Feel how professional and controlled they sound. Advanced English often feels quiet because it uses accurate words instead of emotional exaggeration. Now we'll replace good with precise adjectives that fit daily situations. Good can mean enjoyable, satisfying, refreshing, beneficial, reliable, effective, or impressive. Repeat. The meeting was productive. The plan is feasible. The food was satisfying. That break was refreshing. She's a reliable colleague. The advice was beneficial. Each adjective gives your listener more information than good ever could. Practice paragraph. Think about yesterday. Choose 3 good things. Now describe each thing with a stronger adjective. Instead of, I had a good sleep, say, I had a restful sleep. Instead of, I had a good conversation, say, I had a meaningful conversation. Instead of, it was a good idea, say, it was a practical idea. Say your sentences out loud, then say them again, a little smoother. Now upgrade bad in a nuanced way. Bad can become inconvenient, frustrating, disappointing, unpleasant, stressful, overwhelming, or unacceptable. Inconvenient is mild. Unacceptable is firm and serious. Overwhelming shows emotional overload. Repeat after me. That was inconvenient. That was frustrating. That was disappointing. That was overwhelming. That's unacceptable. Notice how each word changes the emotional temperature of the sentence. Here is a high-value C1 verb for real life, to mitigate. It means to reduce the negative effect of something. You may not fully fix a problem, but you can mitigate the risk, mitigate the damage, or mitigate the impact. In daily life, you can say, I'm trying to mitigate stress by sleeping earlier. Or, we can mitigate the cost by sharing a ride. Repeat both sentences slowly and copy the rhythm. Practice. Simple. I want to reduce my stress. C1. I want to mitigate my stress levels. Simple. We want to reduce mistakes. C1. We want to mitigate the risk of errors. Now create one sentence about your own routine using mitigate. If you need support, begin with, I'm trying to mitigate, and finish the sentence in your own words. Let's add a polished phrase you can use everywhere, pressed for time. It means you do not have enough time, but it sounds smoother than I'm busy. Repeat. I'm a bit pressed for time today. I've been pressed for time lately. Now add a polite refusal. I'd love to help, but I'm pressed for time today. This sounds respectful and mature, and it protects your boundaries without sounding rude. Now we'll level up how you describe emotions because C1 speakers are emotionally precise. Instead of I'm happy, you can say I'm relieved, I'm content, I'm thrilled, I'm genuinely pleased, or I'm quietly satisfied. Instead of I'm sad, you can say I'm a bit down, I'm discouraged, I'm disappointed, or I'm feeling low. Repeat. I'm relieved it worked out. I'm quietly satisfied with my progress. Practice. Say one honest sentence about how you feel today. Choose a nuanced word. Keep it simple and true. For example, I'm a bit overwhelmed, but I'm managing. Or I'm discouraged, but I'm not giving up. Now say it again, but this time soften it with a C1 hedge. Try to be honest, or if I'm being completely honest, at the start. This makes your speech sound natural and human. Finally, let's add C1 connectors, because advanced vocabulary is also about how ideas flow. Repeat these slowly. To some extent. By and large. In the long run. On the whole. In light of this. That being said. In the meantime. Now practice with real sentences. On the whole, it was a productive day. To some extent, I agree. That being said, we should be careful. In light of this, I'll adjust my plan. In the meantime, I'll keep practicing. Now link two ideas in your own voice. For example, I'm tired, that being said, I'll still show up. Here is a mini speaking drill to lock everything in. Say the basic idea first, then the advanced version, then add a connector. Basic. I'm learning English every day. Advanced. I'm committed to practicing English consistently. Extension. That being said, I'm focusing more on accuracy this week. Now do it with your own life. Keep the pace slow. Let your mouth get used to the new shapes of the words. We'll close with a C1 word for self-development, to cultivate. It means to develop something slowly, with care, like cultivating confidence, cultivating discipline, cultivating patience, or cultivating healthy habits. Repeat. I'm cultivating better habits. I'm cultivating confidence in my speaking. I'm cultivating a calmer routine. Now repeat this short paragraph after me, slowly. From my perspective, language growth is gradual. I'm cultivating consistency and I'm navigating challenges with patience. I'm pressed for time sometimes, but in the long run, this practice will pay off. That being said, I'm trying to mitigate stress and stay realistic. Now pause, breathe, and say it one more time, even smoother today. Now we'll go deeper into C1 words that help you sound precise in daily conversations, professional situations, and personal storytelling. Remember, C1 is not about sounding complicated. It is about sounding intentional. You choose words that match the reality, the emotion, and the context. We'll begin with a core C1 skill, describing change with accuracy. Many learners overuse change, improve, and get better. Those are fine, but C1 speakers have a full toolkit. You can say something has evolved, shifted, transformed, improved, deteriorated, stabilized, or fluctuated. Evolved suggests gradual, natural development. Shifted suggests a noticeable move in direction. Transformed suggests a big dramatic change. Stabilized suggests it became steady and reliable. Fluctuated suggests it goes up and down. Repeat slowly. Things have evolved. My priorities have shifted. The situation has stabilized. My energy levels fluctuate. Practice paragraph. Imagine you're talking about your routine. Say it simply first. My routine changed this month. Now upgrade it. My routine has shifted this month because my schedule is different. Or my routine has evolved as I've become more disciplined. Or my routine has stabilized and I feel more consistent. Speak one version that is true for you. Then say it again with slower rhythm. Now let's upgrade important. At C1, you can say crucial, essential, vital, fundamental, significant, or a priority. Crucial sounds urgent and serious. Essential means necessary, you cannot remove it. Fundamental means it is the base, the foundation. A priority is practical and modern. Repeat. It's crucial that we communicate clearly. Sleep is essential for my focus. Trust is fundamental in relationships. Right now, my priority is consistency. Practice paragraph. Choose one area of your life. Work, family, health, study. Now describe what matters most. Use one strong adjective and one reason. For example, it's crucial for me to sleep earlier because my energy affects everything toward the house. Or it's essential that I practice speaking daily because I want natural fluency. Say your sentence twice and keep the second time smoother and more confident. Next, we'll polish how you talk about problems and solutions. C1 speakers don't just say problem. They say issue, obstacle, complication, drawback, concern, limitation, or challenge. Each word has a different flavor. A concern is polite and professional. A drawback is a negative side of something. A limitation is a boundary you cannot ignore. A complication suggests something unexpected that makes it harder. Repeat. There's a minor issue. That's a potential drawback. We're facing a limitation. This is an unexpected complication. Now upgrade solution. You can say approach, strategy, workaround, resolution, remedy, or measure. A workaround is a temporary practical method. A measure is an action taken to control a situation. A strategy is a plan. A resolution is an official ending or settlement. Repeat. We need a clear strategy. Let's try a workaround. We're taking measures to reduce stress. We found a resolution. Practice paragraph. Imagine your phone battery keeps dying. Simple, that's a problem. C1, it's a recurring issue. Now simple, I fixed it. C1, I found a workaround by carrying a power bank. Another, I took measures to avoid it by charging earlier. Now apply the same structure to a real habit like waking up late, procrastination, or lack of speaking practice. Speak it slowly, like you're explaining your life to a friend. Now we'll work on describing people at C1 level in a respectful and accurate way. Instead of nice, you can say considerate, thoughtful, warm, supportive, courteous, or gracious. Instead of smart, you can say insightful, sharp, perceptive, knowledgeable, or well-informed. Instead of hardworking, you can say diligent, committed, dedicated, disciplined, or conscientious. Conscientious means careful, responsible, and dependable. Repeat. She's very considerate. He's insightful. She's diligent and consistent. He's conscientious with details. Practice paragraph. Think about someone you respect. It can be a teacher, colleague, friend, or family member. Describe them using 2 advanced adjectives and 1 example. For instance, my friend is very considerate. She checks in when I'm stressed, and she listens without judging. Or, my colleague is conscientious. He always double-checks the information before sending it. Now say your paragraph, again with clearer pauses. Now let's upgrade how you describe experiences. Many learners use good, bad, interesting, and boring. We already improved good and bad, so now we'll enhance interesting and boring. Interesting can become engaging, fascinating, compelling, thought-provoking, or intriguing. Compelling means it holds your attention strongly. Thought-provoking means it makes you think deeply. Boring can become dull, repetitive, unremarkable, tedious, or monotonous. Tedious suggests it requires patience because it's long and annoying. Monotonous suggests it is the same again and again. Repeat. It was thought-provoking. It was compelling. It became tedious. It felt monotonous. Practice paragraph. Describe a typical task like cleaning, commuting, or waiting. Simple. It was boring. C1. It was monotonous, but I used the time to practice English. Or, it was tedious, so I broke it into small steps. Now add a positive twist with a connector. That being said, it helped me build discipline. Speak it out loud and feel how mature it sounds. Now we'll strengthen your speaking with C1 intensifiers and softeners. Many learners only use very. At C1, you can choose extremely, remarkably, exceptionally, notably, considerably, or highly. But you can also soften with rather, fairly, somewhat, or mildly. This is important because advanced speakers control intensity. Repeat. I'm considerably busier this week. I'm somewhat tired. It's remarkably effective. It's mildly inconvenient. Notice how these words adjust the emotional volume. Practice paragraph. Choose 3 statements about your day. Use 1 strong intensifier, 1 softener, and 1 neutral option. For example, I'm exceptionally focused this morning. I'm somewhat distracted after lunch. I'm fairly satisfied with my progress. Now speak those sentences with calm rhythm. Don't rush. Let your pronunciation stay clean and steady. Next, we'll focus on a powerful C1 concept, ambiguity. Ambiguous means unclear or open to multiple meanings. In real life, you can say, the message was ambiguous, or his response was a bit ambiguous. This is an excellent word for workplace and relationship conversations. Repeat slowly. That was ambiguous. I may have misunderstood because it was ambiguous. You can also use vague, unclear, or open-ended. Vague is less formal. Open-ended can be positive, like an open-ended question. Practice paragraph. Imagine someone says, "We'll see." Simple. I don't understand what they mean. C1. Their response was ambiguous, so I asked for clarification. Clarification is another high-value word. Repeat. I asked for clarification. Could you clarify? Now role play. Say, sorry, could you clarify what you mean? Then say, just to clarify, are we meeting today or tomorrow? You sound professional, calm, and confident. Now let's add vocabulary for polite disagreement, which is a C1 superpower. You can say, I see your point. That's a fair point. I understand where you're coming from. I'm not entirely convinced. I'm not sure I agree. I would argue that. I respectfully disagree. Repeat slowly. I see your point. That being said, I'm not entirely convinced. Notice how the connector protects the tone. Practice paragraph. Imagine a friend says, studying grammar is useless. You disagree politely. Try this. I see your point. Grammar alone isn't enough. That being said, I think a little grammar can make your speaking clearer. Now imagine a colleague says, we should hurry and decide now. You want more time. I understand where you're coming from. That being said, I'd prefer to review the details before we commit. Commit is another C1 verb meaning to decide firmly or to dedicate yourself. Now we'll upgrade daily life money vocabulary. Instead of expensive, you can say costly, overpriced, or not budget-friendly. Instead of cheap, you can say affordable, reasonably priced, or good value. Good value means it is worth the money. Repeat. It's reasonably priced. It's good value. It feels overpriced. It's not budget-friendly. Practice paragraph. Describe a purchase you made recently, even a small one. I bought it because it was reasonably priced and it seemed like good value. Or I didn't buy it because it felt overpriced. Now add one more C1 word, justify. I couldn't justify the cost means you cannot give a good reason to pay that much. Repeat. I couldn't justify the cost. This is very natural and advanced. Now let's end part 2. With a strong C1 routine paragraph, you can repeat like a script. Listen and repeat slowly. Lately, my priorities have shifted, and I'm trying to cultivate better habits. I'm navigating a busy schedule, and my energy levels fluctuate. That being said, I'm committed to practicing consistently. When challenges come up, I try to address them calmly and take practical measures to mitigate stress. In the long run, I believe this approach will be remarkably effective. Let's keep building this C1 vocabulary system so your English feels sharper, calmer, and more natural. In this part, we'll focus on sophisticated vocabulary for communication, relationships, and daily life decision-making. These are the situations where many learners know what they want to say, but they don't have the exact words. Today, you will gain those words and you will practice them slowly so they become usable, not just recognizable. First, let's strengthen how you talk about communication itself. At C1 level, you don't just say things. You articulate, clarify, emphasize, acknowledge, imply, convey, and reassure. Articulate means to express clearly and smoothly. Clarify means to make something clearer. Emphasize means to highlight importance. Acknowledge means to recognize something as true or valid. Imply means to suggest without saying directly. Convey means to communicate an idea or feeling. Reassure means to reduce someone's worry. Repeat slowly. Let me clarify. I want to emphasize. I acknowledge your concern. I didn't mean to imply that. I'm trying to convey my point. I want to reassure you. Practice paragraph. Imagine you're writing a message to a colleague. Simple, I want to tell you something. C1, I want to clarify something, or I want to emphasize one detail, or I want to reassure you that everything is under control. Now say one message out loud like you're speaking on the phone. Keep it calm. Keep it respectful. Notice how these verbs automatically make you sound more professional. Now let's upgrade explain. You can explain, but you can also elaborate, outline, break down, and walk someone through something. Elaborate means give more detail. Outline means give a clear structure or summary. Breakdown means make it easier step by step. Walk you through is conversational and helpful. Repeat. Let me elaborate. Let me outline the main points. Let me break it down. Let me walk you through it. Practice paragraph. Choose something simple, like your morning routine. Tell it in a C1 way. Let me walk you through my morning routine. I start by. Now choose something more complex, like learning English or building a habit. Let me break down how I practice English. First, speak slowly. Be clear. You're training not only vocabulary, but also your speaking organization. Now we'll move into relationship vocabulary because this is where C1 speakers sound emotionally intelligent. Instead of saying, we had a problem, you might say, there was tension, there was a misunderstanding, there was a lack of clarity, we weren't on the same page, or we needed to set boundaries. Tension is emotional pressure. Misunderstanding is common and neutral. Lack of clarity sounds polite and mature. Not on the same page is natural and idiomatic. Boundaries is modern and widely used. Repeat slowly. There was some tension. It was a misunderstanding. There was a lack of clarity. We weren't on the same page. I need to set boundaries. Practice paragraph. Imagine a friend cancels plans at the last minute. Simple. I'm angry. C1. I'm disappointed mainly because it feels inconsiderate. Or, I understand things come up. That being said, I'd appreciate more notice next time. Notice the calm firmness. That is C1 communication. You can also use I value reliability or I value clear communication. Those phrases sound mature and respectful. Now, let's upgrade support. You can support someone, but C1 vocabulary gives you more options. You can encourage, reassure, back someone up, advocate for, validate, and be there for someone. Validate means to show that someone's feelings or experiences are real and understandable. Advocate for means to speak in support of someone, especially in a workplace or formal context. Repeat. I want to validate your feelings. I'm here to support you. I'll back you up. I'll advocate for you. I want to reassure you. Practice paragraph. Imagine your friend is nervous before an interview. Simple, you will be fine. C1. I want to reassure you. You've prepared well and your experience speaks for itself. Another option. I believe in you and I'm here to support you. Say your version twice. Then slow it down and make it sound warm and natural. Next, we'll upgrade daily life decision vocabulary. Many learners say, I decided or I chose. Those are fine, but C1 speakers also say, I opted to, I settled on, I went with, I ruled out, I considered, I weighed the options, and I came to the conclusion. Opted to sounds formal and deliberate. Settled on means you decided after thinking. Ruled out means you rejected an option. Weighed the options means you compared pros and cons. Repeat slowly. I opted to stay home. I settled on a simple plan. I ruled out the expensive option. I weighed the options carefully. I came to the conclusion that practice paragraph. Imagine you're choosing between two routines, waking up early or sleeping later. Speak it like this. I weighed the options. I considered my energy levels. And I came to the conclusion that waking up earlier is better for my productivity. Now choose a real decision you made. Recently, small is fine. Food, shopping, a study plan, a phone call you delayed. Use I weighed the options and I settled on in one paragraph. Slow English. Clear pronunciation. Now let's add a key C1 verb for discipline. To adhere to. It means to follow a rule, plan, or guideline. You can adhere to a schedule, adhere to a routine, adhere to a budget, adhere to instructions. Repeat. I'm trying to adhere to my schedule. I'm adhering to a budget this month. This sounds advanced, but it's common in professional English. A softer alternative is stick to. C1 speakers use both depending on context. Practice paragraph. Simple. I want to follow my routine. C1. I'm trying to adhere to my routine even on busy days. Add a connector. That being said, I'm flexible when something urgent comes up. Now say it again, smoothly. Now we'll upgrade how you describe effort and progress. Because C1 speakers talk about learning in a precise way, instead of I tried, you can say, I made an effort. I put in the work. I invested time. I took it seriously. I followed through and I stayed consistent. Follow through means you do what you said you would do. Repeat slowly. I made an effort. I followed through. I stayed consistent. I invested time in it. Practice paragraph. Describe your English learning this week. Be honest, but sound calm. This week, I made an effort to practice speaking. I didn't do it perfectly, but I follow through most days. Now upgrade one more word. Instead of perfectly, say flawlessly. I didn't do it flawlessly means you accept small mistakes without losing confidence. That is a C1 mindset and a C1 vocabulary choice. Next, we'll practice subtle vocabulary for politeness, especially in requests. Instead of, can you do this? You can say, would you mind? Could you possibly? I'd appreciate it if it's not too much trouble. When you have a moment. At your earliest convenience. Repeat slowly. When you have a moment, could you clarify something for me? I'd appreciate it if you could send that today. If it's not too much trouble, could you double check this? These phrases protect relationships and sound highly fluent. Practice paragraph. Create a request you might say in daily life. maybe to a coworker, a shop worker, a teacher, or a family member. Use one polite frame. For example, when you have a moment, could you let me know what time we're leaving? Or if it's not too much trouble, could you lower the volume a little? Now say it twice. Once very politely and once more casual with, can you? Notice how the tone changes. Now let's add C1 vocabulary for describing routines and habits in a sophisticated way. Instead of I do it every day, you can say it's part of my routine, it's a regular practice, it's a non-negotiable, it's second nature, and it's a habit I've developed. Non-negotiable means you do not compromise on it. Second nature means it feels automatic. Repeat. It's part of my routine. It's a regular practice. It's non-negotiable for me. It's become second nature. Practice paragraph. Choose one habit you want to keep. Drinking water, walking, speaking English, journaling, sleeping earlier. Describe it with C1 vocabulary. Practicing English out loud is non-negotiable for me. Even if I only do 10 minutes, I make time for it. Now add another sentence showing long-term thinking. In the long run, this consistency will compound. Compound is a strong word, meaning it grows over time like interest. Repeat. Consistency compounds. Very C1. Very powerful. Now we'll finish this part with a longer speaking practice paragraph that combines today's vocabulary in a natural story. Listen first, then repeat slowly. To be honest, my priorities have shifted recently. I'm trying to adhere to a simple routine because I perform better when my days are structured. I've been pressed for time, so I weighed the options and settled on short, consistent practice sessions. When I communicate with others, I try to clarify my intentions and avoid ambiguity. If there's a misunderstanding, I acknowledge it and work through it calmly. On the whole, I'm not aiming for flawless progress. I'm aiming for steady progress that I can follow through on. Pause. Breathe. Now repeat it again, but with your own small changes. Maybe change structured to organized. Change pressed for time to busy. The goal is to own the language. You are not borrowing English. You are building your English. Let's continue, English learners. In this part, we'll strengthen your C1 vocabulary for storytelling, describing complex situations, and sounding persuasive in a calm, natural way. Storytelling is not only for entertainment, it's for interviews, meetings, daily conversations, and even casual chats with friends. At C1 level, the difference is not just grammar, it's structure, nuance, and the ability to guide the listener through your point smoothly. We'll start with a key C1 storytelling verb, to recall. It means to remember something clearly, often from the past. You can say, I recall a time when this sounds more polished than I remember. Another useful verb is to reflect. It means to think deeply about something. When I reflect on it, sounds thoughtful and mature. Repeat slowly. I recall a time when I reflect on it. Looking back, in hindsight means when you look back later, you understand more. Practice paragraph. Tell a short memory about learning English, a routine change, or a mistake you learned from. Start with, I recall a time when, and then add in hindsight. For example, I recall a time when I tried to learn too many words at once. In hindsight, I realized consistency mattered more than intensity. Say your version out loud. Keep it slow. Make it sound like a real story, not a textbook. Now let's upgrade how you describe a sequence of events. Many learners only use then. At C1, you can use initially, eventually, in the meantime, shortly after, soon enough, before long, and ultimately. Initially means at the beginning. Eventually means after some time, in the end. Ultimately means the final result, the conclusion. Repeat. Initially, I was unsure. Shortly after that, I realized. In the meantime, I decided to. Before long, it became. Ultimately, I learned. Practice paragraph. Describe a simple daily event like missing a bus, losing a key, or changing your plan. Use at least 4 sequence words. Initially, I thought I had enough time. Shortly after, I realized I was running late. In the meantime, I tried to stay calm. Before long, I found a workaround. Ultimately, everything worked out. Now say it again, but replace worked out with a stronger phrase. Ultimately, the situation resolved itself. Resolved itself is a great C1 expression for problems that end naturally. Now we'll build persuasive language because C1 speakers know how to influence without sounding pushy. Instead of I want, you can say, I would suggest, I would recommend, I would propose, it would be advisable, it might be worth considering, and one compelling reason is. Compelling reason is a very strong phrase. Repeat slowly. I would recommend. It might be worth considering. It would be advisable too. One compelling reason is. Notice how these phrases sound calm and professional. Practice paragraph. Imagine your friend wants to improve English, but they are inconsistent. You want to persuade them gently. Try this. It might be worth considering a shorter daily routine. One compelling reason is that consistency compounds over time. I would recommend 10 minutes a day, and I'd suggest focusing on speaking out loud. Now do the same in a workplace context. It would be advisable to confirm the details in writing. One compelling reason is to avoid ambiguity. Say both versions slowly. Now we'll upgrade how you describe causes and effects, which is essential for advanced explanation. Instead of because, you can use due to, as a result, as a consequence, which led to, which resulted in, and therefore. Due to sounds more formal. As a consequence sounds very C1 and slightly serious. Repeat. Due to the delay, we had to adjust. As a result, I changed my routine. That led to better focus. Therefore, I decided to practice paragraph. Explain a real change in your life. It can be small. Due to my schedule, I've been pressed for time. As a result, I've shortened my English practice. That led to more consistency, and therefore I feel more confident. Now say it again with slower pace and clearer pauses. Next, we'll work on describing complexity without sounding confused. C1 speakers often use phrases like, it's not straightforward. There are multiple factors. It's more nuanced than it seems. It's a gray area. and it's a trade-off. Trade-off means you gain one thing but lose another. Gray area means it's not clearly right or wrong. Nuanced means it has subtle differences and details. Repeat slowly. It's not straightforward. It's more nuanced than it seems. There are multiple factors. It's a trade-off. Practice paragraph. Choose a topic like sleep, exercise, social media, or learning English. Explain the trade-off. It's a trade-off. If I stay up late, I get more free time, but my focus suffers the next day. Or, learning vocabulary is not straightforward. There are multiple factors like repetition, context, and emotional connection. Say your paragraph twice. Keep your voice calm and controlled. Now let's strengthen describing problems in storytelling. Instead of something went wrong, you can say there was a setback, there was an obstacle, I ran into an issue, things didn't go as planned, it backfired, or it created complications. Backfired means it had the opposite effect. Setback is a temporary problem that slows progress. Repeat. I ran into an issue. It was a setback. It backfired. It created complications. Practice paragraph. Tell a short story about a setback. Keep it real. I tried to learn 50 new words in one day. It backfired because I forgot most of them. It was a setback, but in hindsight, it taught me to focus on fewer words with deeper practice. Now say it again, slowly, and emphasize the lesson at the end. That's how C1 storytelling sounds. Problem, reflection, lesson. Now we'll expand vocabulary for good outcomes and bad outcomes in a story. Instead of it was good, use it turned out well. It was a pleasant surprise. It exceeded my expectations. Or it paid off. Paid off means the effort gave a positive result. Exceeded my expectations means it was better than you thought. Instead of it was bad, use it was disappointing, it fell short, it didn't meet expectations, or it took a toll. Took a toll means it caused damage, often emotionally or physically. Repeat slowly. It paid off. It exceeded my expectations. It fell short. It took a toll. Practice paragraph. Create 2 mini stories. 1 positive, 1 negative. Positive. I practiced speaking consistently for 2 weeks, and it paid off. I felt more articulate and my confidence improved. Negative. I ignored my sleep routine. It took a toll on my mood and focus, and it didn't meet my expectations. Now say both, but add 1 connector phrase in each. On the whole, that being said, or in the long run. Next, we'll polish your ability to sound balanced, not extreme. C1 speakers often show both sides of an idea. Use phrases like, to be fair, having said that, nevertheless, even so, and at the same time. These are powerful for persuasion and storytelling. Repeat. To be fair, having said that, nevertheless, at the same time. Now use them in sentences. To be fair, I was tired. Having said that, I couldn't have planned better. Nevertheless, I kept going. This structure sounds mature and responsible. Practice paragraph. Tell a short story where you admit a weakness, but stay confident. To be fair, I was exhausted. Having said that, I could have managed my time better. Nevertheless, I followed through on my practice, and that gave me a sense of control. Now say it again, but slower, with a gentle tone. You are training not only vocabulary, but also your communication style. Now we'll end this part with a longer C1 storytelling practice paragraph you can repeat like a speech. Listen carefully. Looking back, I recall a period when my routine was chaotic. Initially, I tried to fix everything at once, but it wasn't straightforward. There were multiple factors, including stress and poor planning. Shortly after, I realized I needed a simpler approach. Due to my schedule, I was pressed for time, so I weighed the options and settled on small daily habits. In the meantime, I focused on clear communication and avoided ambiguity in my messages. As a result, my week stabilized and my confidence improved. To be fair, it wasn't flawless. Having said that, it paid off in the long run because consistency compounds. Pause. Breathe. Now repeat it slowly. If you want, personalize 2 or 3 details. Change chaotic to overwhelming. Change messages to conversations. Make it yours. This is how C1 vocabulary becomes part of your natural English. We'll focus on C1 vocabulary for professional life and high-level daily communication. Even if you don't work in an office, these words help you sound organized, diplomatic, and confident in any adult situation. Think about speaking to a teacher, a client, a manager, a colleague, a landlord, a doctor, or a customer service representative. C1 vocabulary gives you the ability to be firm without being rude and clear without being harsh. First, let's upgrade how you talk about tasks and responsibilities. Many learners say, I have work or I have to do things. At C1 level, you can say, I have responsibilities, I have commitments, I have obligations, I have priorities, and I have deliverables. Deliverables is common in business English, and it means the specific results you must provide. Repeat slowly. I have several commitments this week. I have a few obligations to take care of. I'm prioritizing what matters most right now. Now upgrade the basic verb do. In professional English, we often use handle, manage, oversee, coordinate, execute, and implement. Handle is practical. Oversee means you supervise and make sure it happens. Coordinate means you organize people and timing. Execute means you carry out a plan. Implement means you put a plan into action, often a new system or rule. Repeat. I'm overseeing the process. I'm coordinating the schedule. We're executing the plan step by step. We're implementing a new system. Practice paragraph. Imagine you want to sound professional about a simple task. Instead of, I did the work, say, I handled the task. Or, I managed the process from start to finish. Or, I coordinated with others to finalize it, coordinating my week so I can study consistently. I'm implementing a new routine. Say it twice, slowly, and keep the rhythm natural. Next, we'll strengthen meeting and conversation vocabulary. Instead of talk, you can say discuss, address, touch base, follow up, review, and check in. Touch base is informal but professional. Follow up means you continue after an earlier message. Review means you examine details carefully. Check in means you ask for an update or see how things are going. Repeat slowly. Let's discuss this. I'd like to address a concern. Can we touch base later today? Practice paragraph. Imagine you sent a message and got no reply. Simple. Why didn't you answer? C1. I'm just checking in to see if you had a chance to review my message. Another. I wanted to follow up regarding our previous conversation. Now imagine you want to schedule a call. Can we touch base this afternoon to align on the next steps? Align means agree and move in the same direction. Next steps is a very natural phrase. Repeat slowly. Let's align on the next steps. One more. Phrase, could you confirm receipt? Means tell me you received it. It sounds concise, polite, and professional today. Now let's talk about diplomacy, because this is where C1 speakers truly stand out. Diplomacy means you communicate with care, especially in sensitive situations. You can use phrases like, I appreciate your effort, I understand your perspective, I see where you're coming from, I'd like to raise a concern, and I'd like to flag something. To flag means to highlight an issue so others pay attention. Repeat. I'd like to raise a concern. I'd like to flag a potential risk early. Practice paragraph. Imagine a colleague made a mistake. You want to be respectful. I appreciate your effort on this. That being said, I'd like to flag a small issue we may need to address. Notice how calm and professional that sounds. Now imagine you disagree with an idea. I see where you're coming from. However, I'm not entirely convinced this approach is sustainable. Sustainable means it can continue without problems. Repeat slowly. I'm not entirely convinced. Now we'll upgrade, fix, and solve in professional contexts. You can say resolve, rectify, remedy, and troubleshoot. Resolve is common and neutral. Rectify is formal and means correct a mistake. Remedy means improve a bad situation. Troubleshoot means investigate and fix a technical or practical problem. Repeat. We need to resolve this. We'll rectify the error. We'll remedy the situation. I'm troubleshooting the issue. Practice paragraph. Imagine your internet is unstable. Simple. My internet is bad. C1. My connection has been unstable, so I'm troubleshooting the issue, or I'm trying to resolve the problem as soon as possible. Now imagine a work issue. We noticed an error in the report, so we're rectifying it. Say it slowly and feel the professional tone. Now let's add C1 vocabulary for deadlines and timing. Instead of late, you can say delayed, behind schedule, or overdue. Instead of soon, you can say shortly, in the near term, or as soon as feasible. Feasible means possible and realistic. Repeat. We're slightly behind schedule. The payment is overdue. I'll send it shortly. I'll do it as soon as feasible. Practice paragraph. Create a polite message you could send. I'm currently pressed for time and slightly behind schedule. I'll follow up shortly with an update. Now practice a stronger, but still polite boundary. I can't commit to that timeline right now. However, I can deliver it by Thursday. Commit to a timeline is very common professional language. Repeat slowly. I can't commit to that timeline. I can deliver it by Thursday. Now we'll improve how you describe quality and performance. Instead of good, try effective, efficient, reliable, high quality, robust, and consistent. Efficient means it saves time and effort. Robust means strong and able to handle stress or change. Repeat. We need a more efficient process. The system is reliable. We want consistent results. We need a robust solution. Practice paragraph. Talk about your own learning system like a professional plan. I'm trying to build a reliable routine that is efficient and sustainable. I want consistent practice rather than occasional intensity. Notice how this vocabulary fits daily life as well as work life. Now say it again, slower, and make it sound natural, not robotic. Now let's add C1 vocabulary for collaboration. Instead of work together, you can say collaborate, coordinate, partner, and liaise. Liaise means to communicate and cooperate between people or groups. It's very businesslike. Repeat. We're collaborating on this. Let's coordinate our schedules. We're partnering to solve this. I'm liaising with the team to confirm the details. Practice paragraph. Imagine you're planning a family event, not a business project. Use the same vocabulary. I'm coordinating with my family to finalize the plan. We're collaborating on the preparations. I'm liaising with the venue to confirm the timing. This is advanced English. You can transfer language across contexts. Now we'll strengthen negotiation and compromise vocabulary. Instead of agree, you can say reach an agreement, come to terms, find common ground, and settle on a solution. Instead of compromise, you can say make a concession, meet halfway, or accept a trade-off. A concession is something you give up to reach agreement. Repeat slowly. Let's find common ground. We reached an agreement. I can make a concession. Let's meet halfway. Practice paragraph. Imagine you and a friend are choosing where to eat. Simple, let's do this. C1. Let's find common ground. I can make a concession and choose your place today, and next time we'll go with mine. Now imagine a workplace scenario. We may need to meet halfway to stay on schedule. Say both versions slowly and keep your tone friendly. Now let's add C1 vocabulary for accountability and professionalism. Instead of it's not my fault, you can say I take responsibility, I take ownership, and I'm accountable for the outcome. To take ownership sounds especially natural in modern workplaces. You can also say, I'll look into it, I'll investigate, and I'll get back to you. If a problem becomes serious, you can escalate it to the right person. Repeat slowly. I take ownership of this, and I'll keep you posted. If you need more time, say, I'm working on it and I'll update you today shortly. Now we'll finish with a complete C1 workplace style speaking paragraph you can repeat as training. Listen carefully. I'm reaching out to follow up on our previous discussion. I'd like to clarify a few details and align on the next steps. At the moment, I'm managing several commitments, so I'm prioritizing the most time-sensitive deliverables. That being said, I can commit to an updated timeline and I'll keep you informed if anything changes. If there are any concerns, please let me know, and I'll address them promptly. We'll build C1 vocabulary for emotions, conflict, and personal boundaries. This is where advanced English starts to feel truly powerful, because you can express yourself clearly without sounding dramatic. You can be honest without being harsh. You can be firm without being rude. And you can describe emotions with precision, not just with basic words like happy, sad, angry, and stressed. First, let's upgrade stress vocabulary. Stress is real, but C1 speakers describe it in different shades. You can say, I'm under pressure, I'm overwhelmed, I'm mentally drained, I'm burnt out, I'm tense, and I'm on edge. Under pressure is common and neutral. Overwhelmed means too much at once. Mentally drained means your brain feels tired. Burnt out is stronger and long-term. On edge means slightly anxious or easily irritated. Repeat slowly. I'm under pressure this week. Repeat. I'm feeling overwhelmed. I'm mentally drained. I've been on edge lately. Practice paragraph. Describe your current week. Choose one stress word that feels true. I've been under pressure, but I'm managing. Or I've been overwhelmed, so I'm trying to simplify my routine. Now add one C1 coping verb, to regulate. Regulate means to control and stabilize, often emotions or breathing. Repeat. I'm trying to regulate my stress levels. Now put it together. I'm trying to regulate my stress levels by sleeping earlier and practicing English in short sessions. Say it twice, slowly. Now let's upgrade calm vocabulary. Instead of only calm, you can say at ease, composed, grounded, steady, and level-headed. Composed means calm and in control. Grounded means emotionally stable and connected to reality. Level-headed means rational and not emotional in decision-making. Repeat. I'm staying composed. I feel grounded today. I'm trying to be level-headed. I'm more at ease now. Practice paragraph. Imagine a situation that could annoy you, like traffic, delays, or a misunderstanding. Now practice a C1 response. I was frustrated at first. That being said, I stayed composed and tried to be level-headed. Now say it again, but slower, with stronger pauses. This is what advanced communication sounds like in real life. Now we'll move into anger and frustration, but with emotional intelligence. Instead of I'm angry, you can say I'm irritated, I'm annoyed, I'm frustrated, I'm upset, I'm resentful, or I'm livid. Livid is very strong, so use it carefully. Resentful means you feel unfairness for a long time. Upset is softer and common. Irritated is mild and temporary. Repeat slowly. I'm slightly irritated. I'm frustrated by the situation. I'm upset about what happened. I'm starting to feel resentful. Practice paragraph. Choose a small daily trigger. Maybe someone interrupts you, cancels plans, or ignores a message. Speak about it with a controlled tone. I'm a bit frustrated because I value clear communication. That being said, I don't want to overreact. Overreact is a useful verb. Now upgrade it with C1. I don't want to jump to conclusions. Jump to conclusions means decide too quickly without evidence. Repeat. I don't want to jump to conclusions. Now use it in your paragraph and speak slowly. Next, we'll upgrade sadness and disappointment. Instead of sad, you can say down, low, discouraged, disheartened, heavy-hearted, or heartbroken. Heavy-hearted is emotional, but gentle. Disheartened means you lose motivation because you feel it's not working. Discouraged is common and practical. Repeat slowly. I've been feeling a bit down. I'm discouraged. I felt disheartened. I was disappointed. Now upgrade disappointed with subtle options. You can say let down, underwhelmed, it fell short, or it didn't live up to expectations. Underwhelmed means it was less impressive than you expected. Repeat. I felt let down. I was underwhelmed. It fell short. It didn't live up to expectations. Practice. Paragraph. Describe something small, like a movie, a meal, a purchase, or a plan that didn't happen. I was underwhelmed by the experience. It didn't live up to expectations. That being said, it's not the end of the world. Notice the balance and maturity. Now say it again with clear pauses. Now we'll learn C1 vocabulary for expressing needs and boundaries. This is extremely useful. Instead of I don't like that, you can say I'm not comfortable with that. That doesn't work for me. I'd prefer not to. I need some space, and I need to set a boundary. You can also say I'm not available, which is professional and clean. Repeat slowly. I'm not comfortable with that. That doesn't work for me. I'd prefer not to. I'm not available today. Practice paragraph. Imagine someone asks you for a favor, but you're pressed. For time, simple. No, I can't. C1. I'd love to help, but I'm not available today. I'm pressed for time and I need to prioritize my commitments. Now practice a softer version. I'd prefer not to take that on right now. Take that on means accept responsibility for it. Repeat slowly. I'd prefer not to take that on right now. Now let's strengthen conflict vocabulary. Instead of fight, you can say argument, disagreement, conflict, tension, a heated conversation, or a confrontation. Confrontation is strong, so again, use carefully. Heated conversation is strong but still common. Repeat. We had a disagreement. There was tension. It became a heated conversation. Now upgrade, solve the conflict. You can say resolve the conflict, de-escalate, smooth things over, and reach a mutual understanding. De-escalate means reduce intensity and calm the situation. Smooth things over means make peace again, often with polite effort. Repeat slowly. Let's de-escalate. I want to smooth things over. Let's reach a mutual understanding. Practice paragraph. Imagine you misunderstood someone's message. There was a misunderstanding and it created tension. I wanted to de-escalate, so I asked for clarification and tried to reach a mutual understanding. Now say it again, slower, and notice how professional and emotionally intelligent it sounds. Now we'll learn how to express criticism constructively. Instead of you're wrong, you can say I see it differently, I'm not sure that's accurate, I have a different perspective, I have some concerns, or I think we should reconsider. Reconsider means think again and possibly change your decision. Repeat slowly. I see it differently. I have some concerns. I think we should reconsider. Practice paragraph. Imagine you're in a discussion and someone suggests a plan that feels unrealistic. I understand the intention. That being said, I have some concerns about feasibility. I think we should reconsider the timeline. Feasibility means whether it's realistically possible. Now say it again, slowly, and keep your tone calm. Next, we'll work on apology and accountability vocabulary. At C1, you can apologize in a way that sounds sincere and responsible. Instead of only sorry, you can say, I apologize for the inconvenience. I take responsibility. That was my oversight, and I should have been clearer. Oversight means a mistake caused by not noticing something. Repeat slowly. That was my oversight. I take responsibility for that. I apologize for the inconvenience. I should have been clearer. Practice paragraph. Role play an apology for being late. I apologize for the delay. I take responsibility. I should have communicated earlier. I appreciate your patience. This is extremely professional and advanced. Now say it again, but softer and more casual, for a friend. I'm really sorry for the delay. That was my oversight. I should have texted sooner. Notice how you can adjust formality while keeping the C1 vocabulary available. Now let's add vocabulary for emotional clarity in relationships. Sometimes you don't want to blame, you want to describe your feelings and needs. Use phrases like, I feel uneasy, I feel taken for granted, I feel unheard, I feel appreciated, I feel valued, and I feel supported. Uneasy means slightly uncomfortable or worried. Taken for granted means people don't value what you do. Unheard means your feelings are ignored. Repeat slowly. I feel uneasy about this. I feel taken for granted. I feel unheard. I feel valued. Practice paragraph. Create a boundary sentence using this structure. I feel when, because, and I need. For example, I feel uneasy when plans change at the last minute because it disrupts my schedule and I need more notice. Or, I feel unheard when I'm interrupted because I'm trying to explain something and I need a chance to finish. Say your sentence twice, slowly. This is real-life advanced English. Now we'll close part 6 with a complete C1 emotional intelligence paragraph you can repeat like a personal script. Listen carefully. To be honest, I've been under pressure lately, and at times I've felt mentally drained. That being said, I'm trying to stay composed and level-headed. If something upsets me, I don't want to jump to conclusions. I'd rather ask for clarification and de-escalate before tension builds. I'm learning to set boundaries in a respectful way. I can acknowledge other people's perspectives while also being clear about what works for me. In the long run, I want to communicate with calm confidence and reach mutual understanding, even in difficult situations. In this section, we'll strengthen the kind of C1 vocabulary that makes your English sound sophisticated in everyday life without sounding unnatural. We'll focus on precision in description, advanced adjectives, and subtle expressions that help you sound observant, articulate, and emotionally accurate. These words are powerful because they upgrade ordinary conversations. When you can describe people, places, moods, and situations with nuance, you automatically sound more fluent. First, let's upgrade the word big and small in a way that fits real life. Instead of a big change, you can say a substantial change, a considerable shift, or a significant adjustment. Substantial emphasizes size and weight. Considerable emphasizes noticeable amount. Adjustment suggests a practical change, not a dramatic one. Instead of a small problem, you can say a minor issue, a slight inconvenience, or a negligible concern. Negligible is very small, almost not worth worrying about. Repeat slowly. A substantial change, a considerable shift, a minor issue, a slight inconvenience, a negligible concern. Practice paragraph. Think about your week. Say it simply first. This week has been busy. Now upgrade it. This week has been considerably busier than usual. Or, this week has involved a substantial workload. Now add one more detail using a C1 adjective. It's been demanding, but manageable. Demanding means it requires a lot of effort. Manageable means you can handle it. Repeat slowly. It's demanding, but manageable. Now say your sentence again in your own voice. Now let's upgrade good and bad into sharper descriptive words for daily situations. Instead of good, try impressive, solid, reassuring, promising, rewarding, beneficial, or effective. Solid means reliable, not perfect, but strong. Reassuring means it makes you feel safer or calmer. Rewarding means it feels worth it. Promising means it looks like it will be good in the future. Instead of bad, try unfortunate, unpleasant, concerning, problematic, counterproductive, or discouraging. Counterproductive means it creates the opposite result of what you want. Repeat slowly. A promising start. A rewarding habit. A solid plan. A concerning sign. A problematic pattern. A counterproductive routine. Practice paragraph. Choose one habit you have. Maybe scrolling late at night, skipping breakfast, or avoiding speaking practice. Describe it. Staying up late is counterproductive for me. It feels relaxing in the moment, but it's discouraging the next day because my focus suffers. Now choose one positive habit. Taking a short walk is surprisingly rewarding. It's beneficial for my mood and it helps me feel grounded. Say both paragraphs slowly and notice how natural and adult they sound. Now we'll sharpen your vocabulary for describing people in a balanced way. C1 speakers describe strengths without exaggeration and weaknesses without cruelty. Instead of nice, you can say considerate, courteous, gracious, supportive, or empathetic. Empathetic means able to understand others' feelings. Instead of mean, you can say dismissive, insensitive, unreasonable, rude, or hostile. Dismissive means someone acts like your feelings or ideas don't matter. Insensitive means they don't consider others' emotions. Repeat slowly. She's very empathetic. He can be dismissive. That was insensitive. She was gracious about it. Practice paragraph. Think of someone you work with, study with, or live with. Describe them using one positive and one neutral observation. For example, my colleague is diligent and reliable. At the same time, he can be quite reserved. Reserved means quiet and not very expressive. Or, my friend is supportive and empathetic, but she can be a bit blunt. Blunt means very direct, sometimes too direct. Repeat your paragraph twice, slowly, and keep your tone respectful. Now let's upgrade tired, because daily life is full of tiredness, and C1 speakers describe it precisely. Tired can become exhausted, fatigued, drained, sleep-deprived, worn out, or burnt out. Fatigued is slightly formal and common in health contexts. Drained is emotional and mental. Sleep-deprived is very clear and practical. Worn out is common and natural. Repeat slowly. I'm feeling fatigued. I'm mentally drained. I'm sleep-deprived. I'm worn out. Practice paragraph. Describe how you feel today with one exact tired word and one reason. I'm a bit worn out today because I slept late and my mind hasn't fully switched on. Switch on means become alert and ready. Now soften it politely with a C1 hedge. To be honest, I'm a bit worn out today. Say it again slowly and keep it natural. Now let's strengthen vocabulary for describing atmosphere and mood. Instead of the place felt nice, you can say the atmosphere was welcoming, the vibe was relaxed, the environment was calm, the mood was tense, or the energy was upbeat. Upbeat means positive and lively. Tense means anxious or stressed. Welcoming means friendly and comfortable. Repeat slowly. The atmosphere was welcoming. The vibe was relaxed. The mood was tense. The energy was upbeat. Practice paragraph. Think about a real place you were recently. A shop, a classroom, a home, a street, a cafe, a family gathering. Describe it. The atmosphere was welcoming and the vibe was relaxed. I felt at ease almost immediately. Or the mood was tense at first, but it gradually eased. Eased means became less intense. Now say your paragraph again with a slower rhythm and clearer pronunciation. Now we'll upgrade very into C1 intensifiers that sound natural in conversation. Use particularly, notably, remarkably, surprisingly, highly, and incredibly. Particularly is common and smooth. Notably means noticeably and worth mentioning. Surprisingly is great for storytelling. Repeat slowly. It was particularly helpful. It was notably different. It was surprisingly effective. Now practice a realistic sentence. This method is particularly useful when you're pressed for time. Say it slowly. At C1, you also need softeners so you don't sound too strong or absolute. Use slightly, somewhat, rather, a touch, to a certain extent, and more or less. Repeat slowly. I'm slightly concerned. I'm somewhat unsure. I'm rather busy today. It's a touch complicated. To a certain extent, I agree. These softeners are excellent for diplomacy and natural speech. Practice paragraph. Imagine someone asks, "Are you free today?" Instead of "No," say, "I'm rather busy today, to be honest. I'm somewhat pressed for time." Now imagine someone asks, Is this plan perfect? Say, it's solid overall, but to a certain extent, it depends on the timeline. Repeat both mini dialogue answers slowly. Now, let's build advanced vocabulary for describing patterns in life. Instead of this happens a lot, you can say it's recurring, it's consistent, it's a common pattern, it's becoming a habit, or it's a trend. Recurring means it repeats again and again. A pattern can be positive or negative. Repeat slowly. It's a recurring issue. It's a common pattern. It's becoming a habit. Practice paragraph. Describe a recurring issue in your routine. It's a recurring pattern that I start strong and then lose momentum. That being said, I'm addressing it by simplifying my plan. Momentum is a powerful word for progress energy. Now, describe a positive pattern. It's becoming a habit to practice English in the morning, and that consistency is building momentum. Say both paragraphs slowly and clearly. Now, we'll sharpen your language for describing uncertainty and confidence. Instead of, I don't know, you can say, I'm not entirely sure, I'm uncertain, I'm hesitant, I'm doubtful, or I'm skeptical. Skeptical means you don't easily believe something without evidence. Hesitant means you're not ready to decide. Repeat slowly. I'm not entirely sure. I'm hesitant. I'm skeptical about that claim. For confidence, instead of I'm sure, you can say I'm confident, I'm fairly certain, I'm convinced, or I have no doubt. Convinced is strong, so use it carefully. Repeat slowly. I'm fairly certain. I'm confident this will help. I'm convinced we can resolve it. Now practice a balanced sentence. I'm fairly certain this routine will help. That being said, I want to stay realistic. This balance sounds very C1. Now we'll finish with a long speaking practice paragraph that combines description, nuance, and natural advanced vocabulary. Listen and repeat slowly. Lately, my days have been demanding but manageable. My workload has been considerable, and at times I've felt mentally drained. That being said, I'm trying to stay composed and level-headed. I've noticed a recurring pattern. When my sleep is inconsistent, my focus fluctuates, and my motivation drops. In light of this, I'm implementing a more sustainable routine. It's not flawless, but it's solid overall, and the progress is notably better than before. The atmosphere I create for myself matters. When my environment is calm and my plan is simple, I feel grounded and more at ease. In the long run, I'm fairly certain this approach will be particularly effective. Let's finish strong, English learners. In this final part, we'll consolidate everything you've learned and sharpen the last layer of C1 vocabulary that makes your English sound impactful, refined, and naturally confident. You're going to practice advanced words in realistic speaking rhythms so they become part of your everyday communication. At the end, you'll also have a complete review routine you can repeat anytime you want to refresh your C1 vocabulary. First, let's upgrade vocabulary for impact and importance, because C1 speakers often talk about results, influence, and consequences. Instead of it changed a lot, you can say it had a significant impact, it made a substantial difference, it was transformative, or it was a turning point. Turning point means a moment when things change direction. Transformative means it changes something deeply, often positively. Repeat slowly. It had a significant impact. It made a substantial difference. It was transformative. It was a turning point. Practice paragraph. Think about a habit that improved your life. It can be exercise, early sleep, reading, speaking practice, or a healthier routine. Speak it like this. That habit made a substantial difference in my mood and focus. In fact, it was a turning point because it helped me stabilize my routine. Now say it again and replace one word with your own. Maybe replace mood with energy. Make it personal and keep the rhythm slow. Now we'll add C1 vocabulary for influence and persuasion, which you can use in daily conversation without sounding aggressive. Instead of I want you to, you can say I would encourage you to, I would urge you to, I would recommend, I strongly suggest, or I'd invite you to consider. Invite you to consider is elegant and calm. Urge is stronger, so use it when something is important. Repeat slowly. I'd invite you to consider, I would encourage you to, I would urge you to. Practice paragraph. Imagine your friend wants fluency but avoids speaking. I'd invite you to consider speaking out loud every day. I would encourage you to keep it short and consistent. One compelling reason is that confidence builds through repetition. Now imagine you're persuading yourself. I would urge myself to follow through even when motivation fluctuates. Say it slowly and clearly. Now let's upgrade vocabulary for clarity and precision because C1 English is often about reducing confusion. Instead of clear, you can say explicit, unambiguous, straightforward, concise, and coherent. Explicit means clearly stated. Unambiguous means not open to multiple interpretations. Concise means short, but complete. Coherent means logically organized and easy to follow. Repeat slowly. Let me be explicit. Let's keep this concise. I want to be unambiguous. I want my explanation to be coherent. Practice paragraph. Imagine you're explaining a plan to someone. Let me be explicit so there's no confusion. The plan is straightforward. We'll start at 9, review the details, and finalize the decision by noon. Now apply it to your English practice routine. My routine is straightforward and sustainable. I keep it concise so I can follow through. Say it again slowly. Now we'll upgrade vocabulary for improvement and development. At C1 level, you can say progress, advancement, refinement, growth, and mastery. Refinement is a very C1 word. It means making something better and more polished, not completely changing it. Mastery means high control and skill. Repeat slowly. I'm focusing on refinement. I'm aiming for mastery. I've made steady progress. My speaking has improved through refinement. Practice paragraph. Speak about your English with calm confidence. I'm not aiming for perfect English. I'm aiming for refinement and clarity. I want my vocabulary to reflect my real thoughts, and I want my speech to be coherent and natural. Now say it again and keep the pace slow. Now let's add vocabulary for balance because C1 speakers communicate in a measured way. Instead of it's good and bad, You can say there are pros and cons. It's a trade-off, it's a balancing act, and it depends on the context. Balancing act is a natural expression that means managing two competing priorities. Repeat slowly. It's a balancing act. It depends on the context. There are pros and cons. Practice paragraph. Talk about learning vocabulary itself. Learning advanced vocabulary is a balancing act. On the one hand, you want variety. On the other hand, you need repetition so the words become automatic. Automatic is important. It means you can use it without thinking too much. Now say your paragraph again with a calm voice. Now we'll strengthen tone control because vocabulary is not only meaning, it's attitude. C1 speakers choose words that sound diplomatic, not blunt. Here are some tone tools you can reuse everywhere. To be honest, if I'm being completely honest, I can see your point. That being said, with all due respect, and I appreciate your perspective. With all due respect can be polite, but also firm, so use it carefully. Repeat slowly. I can see your point. That being said, I appreciate your perspective. If I'm being completely honest, practice paragraph. Imagine someone gives you advice you don't like. I appreciate your perspective. That being said, I'd prefer to handle it differently. Now imagine someone criticizes your plan. I can see your point. To be honest, I may need to refine my approach. This is mature, calm, and highly fluent. Now we'll do a full review sequence, like a speaking workout. Don't rush. The power is in the repetition. I will say a sentence frame, and you will repeat it, then personalize it. From my perspective, the most effective approach is repeat. Now personalize. From my perspective, the most effective approach is practicing consistently. Next frame. I'm currently navigating. Repeat. Personalize. I'm currently navigating a busy schedule. Next frame. To some extent, I agree. That being said, repeat. Personalize. To some extent, I agree. That being said, I think we should consider another option. Next frame. I'd like to clarify. Repeat. Personalize. I'd like to clarify the details before we commit. Next frame. It's not straightforward because repeat. Personalize. It's not straightforward because there are multiple factors. Next frame. I'm trying to adhere to repeat. Personalize. I'm trying to adhere to my routine. Next frame. It had a significant impact on repeat. Personalize. It had a significant impact on my confidence. Now we'll add a second review sequence focused on emotional intelligence. Repeat slowly. I've been under pressure, but I'm staying composed. Now personalize it. I've been under pressure, but I'm staying composed and level-headed. Next, I don't want to jump to conclusions, so I'll ask for clarification. Repeat and personalize. Next, I'm not comfortable with that, so I need to set a boundary. Repeat and personalize. Next, I want to de-escalate and reach a mutual understanding. Repeat and personalize. This is high-level daily English, and you can use it everywhere. Now we'll finish with a final long paragraph that ties together C1 vocabulary in a natural, confident ending. Listen carefully, then repeat slowly. English fluency at C1 level is not about sounding fancy. It's about being precise, coherent, and emotionally accurate. It's about choosing vocabulary that matches your intention. When life is demanding, you can stay composed and navigate challenges with a level-headed mindset. When something is ambiguous, you can ask for clarification and keep communication unambiguous and concise. When you're pressed for time, you can prioritize what matters and adhere to a sustainable routine. In the long run, consistency compounds and your progress becomes notably stronger. That being said, you don't need flawless English. You need refined English that feels natural in your own voice. If you follow through with daily practice, it will make a substantial difference, and it can genuinely become a turning point in your confidence. Pause, breathe. Say it one more time, slower, and make it your own. Replace a few words. Keep the meaning. Keep the calm confidence. You've just completed a full C1 Advanced Vocabulary Masterclass, and you now have a strong set of words, phrases, and speaking patterns you can reuse every day. Thank you for practicing with me today. Keep going, keep refining, and I'll see you again for more English practice soon.